Helen here, Cheesecake Runner. Are you running Virtual London on Sunday? If you are, then I hope you are ready for a big dose of pre-marathon motivation, because that's exactly what I have here for you today. So over the last couple of days, we've had stress about numbers, whether or not our race numbers have arrived in the post. I think most people are now sorted with getting race numbers. And yesterday, London Marathon released the app. It wasn't until quite late in the day that the app suddenly started appearing and we started getting our emails. I would say to you, if you haven't managed to download the app or get in and load it properly because you haven't got the email, you're not sure of your race number and your registration ID, now is the time to get in contact with London Marathon. I do know of a few people who have who are worried about numbers and not receiving emails earlier on today, and they have had London Marathon sort it all out for themselves. So rather than plastering it all over Facebook that, oh my God, has anyone else not got this? Make sure that you take action and you contact London Marathon. It's quite easy to find contact details. All you need to do is a little bit of Googling and find the London Marathon web page, and then scroll down right down to the bottom. There's details of their contacts right at the bottom there. So that's the first thing that you need to be doing right now. If you've not managed to download the app, you don't have your ID information, you've not received the emails. Right, so it is Thursday evening. So if you're watching me live, write live in the comments, and if you're watching the replay, type replay so I know that you've stopped by. I'm Helen, I'm the Cheesecake Runner, and I help runners, especially new runners, get trained, ready and prepared to run their first marathon or half marathon race. And each day over the next few days leading up to our virtual marathon on Sunday, I'm going to be coming on live around about 6 o'clock each evening with tips to help you get prepared on the final few days as well as we lead up to the race day. Oh my goodness. And tonight I'm going to be giving you tips all about how to get your carb loading right. So great to see a few people. I've seen John, Victoria, Katie, Mabel. Perfect. Great to see you all, guys. So if you've got any questions about carb loading, that's the topic for us tonight. So I know a lot of you are first timers and you're probably feeling a little bit anxious as to what's going to happen over the next few days and leading up to the marathon, about what the heck carb loading is all about. So when I was preparing to run my first marathon, quite frankly, I didn't have a clue. I knew I had to eat more food, and I thought I needed to eat massive piles of food. So that's exactly what I did. I love food. And boy, it was tough. I started carb loading probably when we started tapering, so by a few days before race day, I was really starting to feel it. I started putting on a lot of weight, feeling really sluggish and slow. So I don't know how you're feeling, whether you've been carb loading since Christmas. I know that's always a big joke that a lot of people have, but if you've been carb loading since the beginning of taper, you probably have maxed out your carb stores. So is that you? Have you been eating mountains of food or carb loading seriously for the past few weeks? Now, eating carbs, carb loading is critical if you're going to be running a marathon. But I know that carb loading is one of the biggest struggles that a lot of marathoners have in the final few days. And tonight, that's why I'm going to give you my 3 tips to get carb loading right, okay? Because today is going to be is the day when you really do need to start switching up your diet. Oh my goodness, we have got Kevin the Pirate watching. Love you, babes. Running it Sunday, not registering, not trained, but Kevin, you are a superstar. It's time to get the carb loading right, and then maybe a little bit of rum on the day. Who knows? Okay, so how are we going to carb load over the next few days? So we need to start today, folks. Today, it's all about the carbs for the next few days. So my first piece of advice for you is you need to switch your diet to high carbohydrate meals, okay? So, and the reason for that is our bodies need to be loaded, fully loaded with carbs when we start our virtual marathon on Sunday, okay? Our bodies burn fat and carbohydrates for fuel, and unlike body fat where we've got absolutely masses, our bodies can only store a limited amount of carbohydrates. And so we need to make sure that our carb fuel tanks are fully loaded ahead of race day, okay? So from now onwards, Thursday, you need to make sure that you're eating, the meals that you're eating are really based on carbs. They're based on starchy carbohydrates. Those are the best ones to be eating. I always think that, you know, that rather than, we're not talking about sweets, I'm not talking about chocolate, I'm not talking about marathon bars or Mars bars, I'm talking about meals based around things like pasta, rice, bread, whole grains, potatoes or sweet potatoes, things like that, okay? Right now, I've got a couple of big baked potatoes in the oven. So once I get off this video, I'm having a big baked potato with a little bit of, I think I've got some tomato sauce. It was an unnamed pot in the freezer, but I've got a big baked potato this evening. And then tomorrow, I'm probably going to be eating a pasta dish. Not too sure what I'm going to have with my pasta. I'll find something. And it'll again be pasta, more big baked potatoes as we head into Saturday. Okay. So we need to make sure our main meals are all based around starchy carbohydrates. And what you need to be thinking about is your diet needs to be about 70% carbohydrates. And that is probably quite a bit more than you would regularly be eating, okay? So you don't need to switch your diet up quite a bit to make sure that you are eating more carbohydrates in your diet over the next couple of days so we can get our carb stores, our fuel tanks maxed out, and so we've got all that energy that we need to run. So that brings me on to tip number 3. How do we switch up our diet so we're eating more carbohydrates? And what you need to be doing is to eat proportionately more carbs. We need to be eating less protein and less fat in our diets, okay? So the way I like to think about this is, let's imagine we were eating spaghetti bolognese, yeah? So a British version of spaghetti bolognese is about 50-50 spaghetti to pasta, spaghetti to bolognese, isn't it? You kind of look at a dish, and if it had a lot of spaghetti and not very much meat sauce, you'd feel shortchanged, wouldn't you? That's typically how us Brits eat our pasta sauce. However, through carb loading, we've got to be a little bit more Italian. Just think about it. If you've ever been to Italy, been to Rome or wherever and ordered a pasta dish, or maybe your local Italian restaurant. I'm talking about Domino's, pizzerias. I'm talking about a real deal Italian restaurant. If you order a pasta dish at those restaurants, what you get is a dish that's probably about 80% pasta. And you're probably looking at it going, where's the sauce? Where's the sauce? There's no meat in here. It really is, you know, a dish that is pretty much pasta that's just rippled through with a little bit of sauce. Now, through carb loading, that's exactly what we're looking for, okay? So we're looking to go from that sort of 50-50 pasta to meat sauce to being, you know, much more pasta and just a little bit of meat sauce rippled through your pasta, okay? And that's the way to change your diet for carb loading. So what we need to be doing is eating less protein and less fat and eating more pasta, more carbohydrates. Doesn't have to be pasta. Plenty other starchy carbohydrates you could be eating. You need to be eating proportionately more carbs in your meals, okay? So that's my second tip for you. First tip is to switch your diet to be eating more carbohydrates. And my second tip was to do that, you want to be eating less protein and less fat. Okay. Now my third tip is the tip that a lot of us get wrong. And it was definitely something that I got horrendously wrong when I was training for my first marathon, and in fact until I really studied nutrition and sports nutrition. The third tip is you don't need to be eating double or triple when we're carb loading, okay? So we don't need to be eating vast amounts of food when we carb load, okay? So we don't need to be loading our plate, eating for 2 or 3, or thinking we've just got to have double dinners when we're carb loading. Rather than doubling up, it's all about switching the food that you're eating to be that high carbohydrate food, okay? If you're eating double or even triple the amount of food, you're just going to be eating too much. And if you're eating too much, you are going to start putting on weight, guys. So, excuse me, over the next couple of days, we want to be eating a little bit more, but it's not double or triple the amounts you regularly eat, okay? So, mate, I'm sorry, if you are a massive foodie, and I am a massive foodie, I love food, we don't want to be loading our plate up. So my tips for you around carb loading is, first up, it's all about carbs. So what you need to be doing over the next few days is, for your main meals, switch them to be high carbs, okay? So you want to be aiming for your meals to be about 70% carbohydrates, okay? And the way we do that brings me to tip 2, which is we want to be eating less protein and less fat over the next couple of days. And my tip number 3 is you don't need to be doubling up or tripling up on the meals that you're eating. You just need to switch to be eating more carbohydrates. And I really recommend starchy carbohydrates rather than really high sugary foods. You don't need to be eating double, because that is the way that you are going to start to put on weight. So guys, I hope that has been useful for you. Let me know in the comments what you're eating, what you're having for dinner to carb load tonight. I've got a big baked potato. I'm going to have some tomato sauce on it and maybe a little bit of veg. But right now, from now onwards, I am focusing in on carbs to make sure that I'm going to be fully loaded for Sunday, for race day, so that I can have the best race possible. So let's do this, folks, and watch out tomorrow. I'm going to be coming on live again round about 6 o'clock with another last minute tip for you. So have a fabulous evening. Let's get going. Let's eat the carbs. And if I don't catch you over the next couple of days, I really want to wish you the very best for Sunday. You are going to have a fabulous run, a fabulous walk, a fabulous Jeff, and a fabulous day. Let's do this, folks. Let's get prepared. Let's do what we can to have a fantastic virtual London run. Take care, and I shall see you very shortly. Bye.